Top 10 angels that are scarier than demons. Number 10. Cherubim. Cherubim are often depicted as cute little babies with wings, but that is most definitely not the case. Cherubim are featured in the book of Ezekiel. They are described as having the likeness of a man and having 4 faces. That of a man, a lion on the right side, an ox on the left side, and an eagle. The 4 faces represent the 4 domains of God's rule. The man represents humanity, the lion, wild animals, the ox, domesticated animals, and the eagle, birds. These faces peer out from the center of an array of 4 wings, and these wings are joined to each other. 2 of these are stretched upward, and the other 2 cover their bodies. Under their wings are human hands, their legs are described as straight, and their feet like those of a calf, shining like polished brass. Between the creatures, growling coals that move between them should be seen. Their fire went up and down, and lightning burst forth from it. They also move like flashes of lightning, and to me this is just terrifying, and I would run far, far away from this. Number 9. Lucifer. Yes, Lucifer is a fallen angel. Angels are spiritual beings who were created by God to do his will, but some of them rebelled against God and became evil. Now, Lucifer didn't create any angels, only God had that power, but Lucifer did trick some of them into rebelling against God and becoming his followers, claiming that he was more powerful than God and would take God's place as ruler of the universe. They believed him, and since then, Lucifer has used them to do his will. His pride persuaded them. I will ascend to heaven, I will raise my throne above the stars of God, I will make myself the most high. Isaiah 14. Lucifer also sends the worst people up to earth to wreak havoc and terrorize everyone, as well as tries to tempt non-sinners to the dark side. So overall, not a great dude. Number 8. Kushiel. In Judeo-Christian folklore, the angel Kushiel is nicknamed the Angel of Punishment, and the name directly translates to God's Rigid One. He is the one who is responsible for punishing massive groups of people, like countries or empires. He punishes them with a giant whip of fire, which just sounds terrifying. Each lashing brought on by the whip represents a collective sin committed by a large group of people. An example of this is war crimes. Now, these lashes are rumored to be felt by the souls of every single person who's responsible for that sin. Seems like no one will get let off the hook. This angel is also responsible for punishing people who are condemned to an eternity in hell. Number 7. Trumpeting angels. The trumpeting angels are 7 angels each with a trumpet, and when they are sounded one at a time, it cues apocalyptic events. Upon the sound of the first trumpet, hail and fire mingled with blood is thrown to earth, burning up a third of the trees on the planet and all green grass. With the sounding of the second trumpet, something described as a great mountain burning with fire plunges into the sea and turns a third of the oceans to blood. Nice. Soon after, a third of all sea life and a third of all ships will be destroyed. With the sounding of the third trumpet, a great star called Wormwood falls to Earth, poisoning a third of the planet's fresh water sources, such as rivers and springs. And it's said that many will die from the bitterness of its taste. Following the sounding of the fourth trumpet, a third of the light that shines from the sun, moon, and stars becomes dark from the celestial bodies being struck. The fifth trumpet prompts a personified star to fall from heaven. The star is given the key to the bottomless pit. After opening it, the smoke that rises out of the pit darkens the air and blocks the sunlight. Then, from out of the smoke, the lotuses, scorpion-tailed war horses that have a man's face with lion's teeth, are unleashed. They are commanded by their king, Abaddon, to torment anyone who does not have the seal of God on their forehead by using their scorpion-like tails. When the sixth trumpet sounds, 4 angels are released from their binds in the great river Euphrates. I hope I'm saying that right. They command a force of 200 million mounted troops whose horses exude plagues of fire, smoke, and brimstone from their mouths. The horses have a lion's head, and their tails as well are like a serpent with a head. The plagues exuding from the horses will kill a third of all mankind. And when the seventh trumpet sounds, loud voices in heaven will say, "The kingdom of the world has become the kingdom of our Lord and his Messiah, and he will reign forever and ever." So yeah, I don't even know what to say to that. That just sounds absolutely terrifying. Number 6. Ophanim. Ophanim are a class of celestial beings who are very wise, known as the Angel of Knowledge. These angels never sleep as they guard the throne of God. In Christian angelology, they are one of the choirs, classes of angels, and are also called thrones. Now, what do they look like? Well, none other than 4 eye-covered wheels, each composed of 2 nested wheels. Flaming wheels in the sky, constantly spinning, with hundreds of eyes covering it. It's a no for me. That just sounds absolutely horrifying. They're always watching and making sure that everything lines up with God's will. Now, what happens if they see something not so holy? You'd get punished. They are like a security camera running 24/7. I would not want to get on these beings' bad side. Number 5. Seraphim. Seraphim are flying serpents. Flying serpents, as angels, in Christian, Islamic, and Jewish writings, the seraphim are celestial beings portrayed as having 2 or 3 pairs of wings and serving as guardians of God's throne. The prophet Isaiah tells us that the seraphim are 6-winged fiery angels who surround God as he sits upon his exalted throne and continually worships God. Isaiah 6. The seraphim also minister the Lord and serve as his agents of purification, as demonstrated by their cleansing of Isaiah's sins before his prophetic ministry. Each seraph is described as having 6 wings, 2 wings used to cover their face, 2 to cover their feet, and the remaining 2 to fly. One reason the seraphim may use 4 of their 6 wings to cover themselves is to express their humility before God. In particular, these angels may use a pair of wings to cover their faces to show God reverence, considering themselves unworthy to look upon the face of God, and also in obedience to the Lord's admonition that no one may see his face and live. The fact that the seraphim also use a second pair of wings to cover their feet may further display reverence for God, and that the angels may be refusing to reveal any unclean aspects of their being before the Lord. The seraphim use the remaining 2 wings to fly and wait upon God, and the visualization of this is just creepy. Number 4. Abaddon. Abaddon is described as destroyer, the angel of the abyss. In the book of Revelation of the New Testament, Abaddon is described as the king of an army of locusts. You know, the scorpion-tailed war horses that have a man's face with lion's teeth that torments for 5 months anyone who does not have the seal of God on their foreheads. Those ones, the ones I mentioned before. Yeah, well, he's their king, so if you thought they were bad, watch out. It's also said during Judgment Day, he will gather the souls of the damned and carry them down to the place of God's final judgment. So that's great. Number 3. Samael. Samael is a figure who is the accuser or adversary, seducer, and destroyer. Although many of his functions resemble the Christian notion of Satan, the point of being sometimes identified as a fallen angel, as he is not necessarily evil, since his functions are also regarded as resulting in good, such as destroying sinners. He is considered to be a member of the heavenly host with often grim and destructive duties. One of Samael's greatest roles in Jewish lore is that he is the main angel of death and head of Satan's. Although he condones the sins of man, he remains one of God's servants. He appears frequently in the story of the Garden of Eden and engineered the fall of Adam and Eve with a snake in writings during the Second Temple period. He's known to seduce people into acts of evil, causing them to sin so he can destroy them. Kinda messed up, don't you think? There's also a story of him trying to kill an unborn baby, and as an angel, why would you even think about doing that? But that's a story for another time. Number 2. The Watchers. The Watchers are angels that were dispatched to Earth to watch over the humans. While down there, they taught humans secret knowledge, such as weaponry, cosmetics, mirrors, sorcery, and other techniques that would otherwise be discovered gradually over time by humans. So yeah, they taught humans about weapons, and that was a great idea. Now, watching over humans seems like an easy job, but like typical men, they began to lust for human women and started to procreate with them. The offspring of these unions are called the Nephilim, which are savage giants who were 1,000 feet tall, who pillaged the earth and endangered humanity. They also forced humans into slavery to produce more food, so that's nice. Now, due to all this, God eventually found out and allowed a great flood to rid the earth of the Nephilim, but first sent Uriel to warn Noah so as not to eradicate the human race. The Watchers messed up so bad that God needed a redo. Great job, guys. truly. And coming in at number 1 is Azrael. Azrael is known as the Archangel of Death. This angel refuses to show its true form because just seeing him can drive demons and lower ranking angels to insanity. And if a human sees him, they will instantly die. If he does ever show you his true form though, you'll see that he's entirely covered in tongues and eyes. The amount of tongues and eyes are also constantly changing as they reflect how many people are alive on Earth. He also has 4 faces and 4,000 wings. He is one of God's oldest angels and is the embodiment of death itself, as he collects the souls of people who have passed away and takes them to the afterlife. Now, if I died and this greeted me, I think I'd die all over again. Both in Islam and Judaism, he is said to hold a scroll concerning the fate of mortals, recording and erasing their names at their birth and death respectively.